Hello there, I'm MountPain27, and this is Dean of Doom, the show where we give grades to classic and contemporary Doom wads. Why? Because ranking things is fun. Today's episode will be dedicated to the HEURES d'Agonie series, 3 megawads released in 2013, 2014, and 2017 by the French Doom community, all led by distinguished mapper and speedrunner JC Dorne. The premise of the series is that the participants are capped at 3 hours to make their maps, with additional time allowed for balancing, fine-tuning, and bug fixing. After playing Tangerine Nightmare, I caught the French Doom bug, and rampaged through all 3 megawads in the span of about a week. There's a, shall we say, je sais quoi about this series that makes it eminently bingeable. And while I certainly don't think every one of these 96 maps is made of solid gold, I am going to try to convince you to give all 3 sets a try. Since this is a triple episode, and since the maps were made under time constraints, I made a rule that I can't spend more than 3 sentences covering any given map. In the end, that resulted in some very liberal semicolon use and more than one run-on sentence. To my French viewers, I apologize for the butchering of your beautiful language that follows. I did my best. So here's how the show works. Every map gets 1 grade for quality and 1 for difficulty. On the quality side, the grades go from A to F. Grade A levels are fun, memorable, visually distinctive, creative, and a fair challenge. Difficulty grades go from X to E. X for extreme, E for easy, A through D in between. Keep in mind, I probably won't have the same ideas about what makes a grade level as you do, but that's okay. Disagreeing is part of the fun, after all. At the end of the day, this show is about spreading the joy of Doom, so let's do so. Before we start, the rules are, we play on ultraviolence and must pistol start each level. I need to play the wad twice before reviewing it. Saves are allowed, and we go for 100% kills in all levels, making exceptions when it's just not worth it. I play on Z-Doom with compatibility set to strict. Now, to the wad. Map 1, Upsilon Synth. William Huber kicks off our super episode with a shotgun symphony. You'll be leaning on the single barrel almost exclusively through several rounds of hit scanner-packed ambushes in this sludgy burnt metal base. Don't miss this obscure secret soul sphere switch, which provides just enough buffer to weather the bullet battery. Grade B+, difficulty D. Map 2, Unité de Traitement. This gray tech base has tidy geometry going for it, and not much else. French for treatment unit is a simple key hunt speckled with hit scanners, seemingly a punt both in terms of progression and combat. The stock music is fitting. Grade D, difficulty E. Map 3, Cubicombe. A rectangle with 18 monsters in it, Cubicombe is either an extreme statement of mapping minimalism or a throwaway. I'm leaning towards the latter, and not just because I let it kill me. Really, Frank? 3 secrets? Grade D-, difficulty E. Map 4, Petite Mort. French for little death is a mean bitch, but I dig it. Necrotic Flesh's cramped coffin of a map is stuffed to the gills with shotgunners and chain gunners, and it doesn't give you anything special to ward them off, or much to patch yourself up with. This surprise archvile is a doozy to deal with if he notices the Hell Knight corpse, but the Barons are just there to stall for time. Grade B-, difficulty C+. Map 5, Expérience Interdite. Some of the HEURES trilogy's quirkiest contributions come courtesy of Datacore, but in the series' first installment, the results are more rough than ready for the big time. French for Forbidden Experience is a drab warehouse cleanup interrupted by a pit stop in hell and capped off with an irritating archvile Bruiser Brothers combo. Datacore will do better work later. Grade D, difficulty D. Map 6, Embuscade. The late Subject 119's sole contribution to the first HEURES d'Agonie gets back to Doom basics. Corridors, bad guys, and of course, ambushes. Clearly a beginner map, Embuscade is brief and kinda charming, with a nice twist ending. Grade D, difficulty D-. Map 7, Chambre des Supplices. I won't waste time trying to find nice things to say about this one. It's just shotgunners, then 8 trapped fatzos, and 4 helpless spiders. Completely rote at best, and a cynical waste of time at worst. Grade F, difficulty D-. Map 8, Canyon. This gem from project lead JC Dorne boasts razor-sharp combat and the most consistent visual theme in the megawad so far. I highly recommend hunting down the secret plasma rifle. It comes in handy for suppressing archviles and greatly simplifies dispensing with his exit-guarding cyberdemon. The Rockin' MIDI, an unused Doom tune by Bobby Prince, is the icing on the cake. Grade A-, difficulty B-. Map 9, Zone 85. Another knuckleball from Datacore, Zone 85 is 1 part parlor trick and 3 parts snooze. Enjoy this Kako Crush sequence, then shoot some zombies, slow roll the Spider Mama, and banish the 4 Barons at the exit with this arbitrary BFG. Next, grade D, difficulty D. Map 10, Surchouf. JC Dorne does a pitch-perfect Jonas Farragon impression, dishing out the standard Hell Revealed 2 textures, putting the rocket launcher center stage, shepherding the player around with archviles, even stashing a secret plasma rifle behind an unmarked wall panel. Thankfully for us, the only flaw in Dorne's homage is that it's too lenient and therefore too fun. Grade B+, difficulty B. Map 11, Obscurite. Okay, this one's good for a chuckle. Datacore hands you a shotgun and a rocket launcher, unleashes 60 imps, and the dance party is on. Author's comment, if you like to pwn imps with the rocket launcher, enjoy, smiley face. Grade C, difficulty D+. Map 12, HEURES, another Frank Frag micromap made unexpectedly treacherous by one evil archvile and some inconveniently located shells.
HEURES
is essentially one tense fight. I was very lucky to beat it on my second try this time around. Not for the claustrophobic. Grade B-, difficulty C. Map 13, Les Souterrains. French for the underground is the first map to really take the kid gloves off. With over 300 monsters, it's an out-and-out slugfest, so don't hold back with those rockets and cells, and don't bother trying to dance around the slime damage. You're likely to take hits if you're too conservative with your movement. So far, JC Dorne is carrying this megawad all by himself. Grade A-, difficulty B+. Map 14, La Reine de la Douleur. Talk about pwning imps with a rocket launcher. French for the Arena of Pain loads you up with explosives and sets up imps, Macubi, and barons like bowling pins, going out on a tense rocket duel with a pair of cyber demons. It's less memorable than Datacore's kookier entries, but significantly more entertaining. Grade C+, difficulty C-. Map 15, Secteur Delta. Probably JC Dorne at his least inspired. Secteur Delta is a rectangular tech base with a high-pressure start that tapers off as soon as you mow down the fodder and silence the shrieking skeletons. That is, until the arbitrary Cyber Demon and Spider Queen roll up. For all intents and purposes, this one is skippable. Grade C, difficulty C+. Map 31, Kesmat. I feel uncomfortable reviewing a level containing Nazis made by a mapper who goes by the username Zyklon B. Map 32, Ta Mitrailleuse. For once, my lack of French proves advantageous, because I got a legitimate belly laugh upon discovering that ta mitrailleuse means your machine gun. Chain gunning imps isn't even my thing, but Datacore's commitment to the gimmick, goofy as it is, sells me completely. The archvile fight near the end is a clever surprise, forcing you to whittle away at him patiently while he revives still more imps. Grade B+, difficulty D+. Also, you're a super mapper, Datacore. Map 16, Metallocost. Frank's longest map so far by a long shot, Metallocost is another tricky single encounter with a short lead-up. This Kodak moment with the courtyard full of zombies funnels you into the next room where you'll be hounded by imps and revenants. Tiptoe between the crushers and jump the gap for a bacon-saving rocket launcher. Spider Mom is not going to splatter herself. Grade B-, difficulty C. Map 17, Place Abandonnée. A vicious, oppressive ammo choke that's hard on the eyes to boot. French for abandoned place earns necrotic flesh his horrid nickname. Pick up that chainsaw and use it as much as you can. The grunts and pain elementals in the poison room will chew through your bullets and shells, and you'll need to conserve for the coup de grace. A pair of cyber demons guarding the exit, which is one of the megawad's 3 hardest fights. I'd save the secret light amp goggles till the end, because doing this in the dark makes an already devious denouement just that much more difficult. I'm breaking my 3-sentence rule to say that this map is either irresponsibly cruel or incompetently balanced. Grade D-, difficulty A. Map 18, Stupide Dilemme. This quiet outpost actually makes its stock music fit. Easily the sleepiest and most forgettable Frank Frag entry so far, this map fails to deliver any kind of excitement outside of one archvile cameo, and it's really the revenants you have to watch out for here. The cyber demon at the end appears to be the one in the Stupide Dilemme, prohibited from moving out of your rocket's path by invisible walls. It's a hard knock life being a Doom monster. Grade C-, difficulty C-. Map 19, Terrible Technologies. I'm going to say it in English because I have to take advantage of perfect cognates when I can. Polished, compact, and nefarious, Oxide's lone submission to 3-1 is one of the megawad's more memorable maps, partly because of the custom textures, but also because he spent 9 hours on it. Archviles reign supreme in this science base. The one at the caboose of this revenant conga line will be the most likely cause of your extinction. I really like Oxide's style. His maps are pretty and pretty relentless. Grade A-, difficulty B+. Map 20, Archaeology. On the surface, Archaeology bears a strong resemblance to Scythe 2's Egypt maps, but makes no pretense of building atmosphere, instead going the way of Slaughter Light, making you lean on weapons 5 and 6 to make mincemeat of monster crowds in wide open arenas. It may not be JC's best work, but Archaeology was one of my favorite maps to revisit in this megawad. Grade A-, difficulty B. Map 21, Antayu. French for We Got You, serves up a spider mastermind presiding over a demonic congregation to kick off the final episode. Make sure she's infighting before you make a run for the SSG and rocket launcher. From there, carefully pick off the archviles and their playpens, and this map is in the books. The icon of sin music works well here. It's nice to actually be able to hear it. Grade C+, difficulty C. Map 22, Disaster. Disaster's a strong word, but it's definitely no success story. Polish off a couple of hit scanners, pick off the skeletons, super shotgun through a mob of imps, and bag a few lingering hell nobles, and this hellish base is history. This is probably the weakest Frank Frag map I know of. grade D-, difficulty D-. Map 23, Après le reste. After map 17, you might be wincing at the sight of Necrotic Flesh's name, but French for After the Remains is a pleasantly formalist hell map that plays almost comfortably compared to his other work. Well, until... There are some more shells under the arch files if the sight of 99% kills makes you break out in hives. Grade C+, difficulty B-. Map 24, Ruin Tech. This modest, symmetrical map seems like a misstep for JC, lacking his signature high tempo and openness. Fans of Alien Vendetta will also likely find the music selection irreverent. I know I do. Ruin Tech is only worth playing for the pair of archviles guarding the exit. Snap up the super shotgun and lead them down the hallway with the fewest corpses to eke out a victory. Grade C-, difficulty C+. Map 25, Le Qu'il, one of Frank Fragg's most fleshed out maps, pun intended, and his last in this megawad. Le Qu'il doesn't exert as much pressure as some of his earlier entries, but it does play like a full map as opposed to a single encounter. I recommend pilfering the plasma rifle before the SSG because the revenants can overwhelm you in the gore yard. I could give or take the platforming and the impotent archviles at the end. Grade C+, difficulty C+. Map 26, Le Village Maudit. Channeling everything gawky and colorful about Sandy Peterson's hell maps, French for the Cursed Village is one of Datacore's 3HA1 highlights. Every monster here is a heavy hitter, so you'll need to make your rockets, cells, and megasphere last. Extreme as they are, I like the visuals, and I'm constantly charmed by Datacore's willingness to try new things. Grade B, difficulty B. Map 27, Sawing a Song. I don't know what the map title's on about, there's not a single drop of innocent blood being spilled in this fetid dungeon massacre, Doom guys included. Willu84's second and final entry in 3HA1, Sawing Assault, is tense, concise, and incredibly violent, making efficient use of turret archviles, cyberdemons, and mancubi while sending heaps of not yet ground beef after you at the ground level. Fans of Slaughter will eat this one up, and everybody else should still enjoy the adrenaline rush. Grade A-, difficulty A-. Map 28, Impulsion. As soft-spoken a Map 28 as you're likely to find, Datacore's third hell map recalls Phobos Anomaly, with its pinky opening statement and sign of evil playing in the background. The finale substitutes cyberdemons for barons, which go down easy with a handful of BFG blasts. Finding the secret blue key, which involves walking through 2 fake walls, opens another exit right behind the first one for some reason. Grade C, difficulty C-. Map 29, Dernier Vue. Every time I think of this map, I remember an anonymous id Games Archive review that I stumbled on while downloading this megawad. The following is an excerpt. Map 29 is the dumbest, most juvenile stupidity I've ever had the misfortune to play. The dickwad that is responsible for this crap needs to be strung up by the balls and beaten with a rubber hose until he promises to never touch a Doom editor again. After playing French for Last Wish more than once, all I can say is, I know why you feel that way, man. Dernier Vue goes calamitously over the top in every way, to the point where it feels like, rather than an army of demons, you're fighting a huge, shape-shifting, regenerating organism that ignites you and riddles you with bullets for daring to be in its proximity. To hell with 3 sentences. This map is completely bananas. Pure suicide to engage with directly. The only strategy that's ever worked for me is running around like a lunatic, taking pot shots at archviles. If one of them gets you in their sights, be a man and stand your ground. If more than one of them gets you in their sights, it was nice knowing you. I love Darkwave dearly, but this map is an unbridled mess. Entertaining only insofar as you can laugh at its wild excess. Grade B, difficulty X. Map 30, Carandu. He did some outstanding work in this megawad, but JC Dorne makes no attempt to reinvent the wheel with this by-the-numbers icon of Sin map. Strike down 7 archviles in a flesh maze, and then teleport to the final arena where you'll do battle with yet another angry wall texture. With the help of your trusty rocket launcher and an elevator sticking out of a large brain, the day is yours to save. Grade D, difficulty C-. Let's hold off on final commentary until we're finished with all 3 megawads. On to the next 3 hours of agony. Map 1, Crash. Newcomer Chow kicks things off with a humble tech base that struggles to match its MIDI's intensity. I appreciate details like this chewed up door, but he kinda goofed up if he wanted to make this spaceship symmetrical. All in all, a pretty weak opener. Grade D, difficulty E. Map 2, Malevolence. Subject 119's second and last contribution to the Toiseau series is one of the gentlest tech bases around. It's a handful of hit scanners cushioned with pinkies and a pair of cacos. Relax and enjoy. Grade C, difficulty E. Map 3, Sombre Angoisse. French for dark anxiety is right. This brooding, somber slime base has a couple of lethal surprises in store, and represents a leap forward in mapping maturity for Datacore. The Caco and Lost Soul ambush that drives you into a horde of pinkies and zombie gunfire, and the surprise pair of pain elementals in particular, caught me off guard. Grade B, difficulty C. Map 4, On Tracks. The name of Frank Fragg's game is the title of his map, French for spacing. Positioning and good use of your environment will make or break you in the majority of his maps. This one is no exception. Grab the SSG from the Mancubus and stick up these revenants for a rocket launcher and you're good to go. Grade B-, difficulty D+. Map 5, Vision. Vision is a patchwork abstraction with some more deconstructive detailing from Chow. I'm guessing the map's title derives from its 2 archvile encounters. Both give you ample cover and shiny new toys to help dispatch them. Action-wise, Vision isn't too memorable, but I did enjoy its more heated moments. Grade C+, difficulty C-. Map 6, Processus Logique. This ripping star-tanned tech base is the first map in Troisième to catch lightning in a bottle. William Huber's fondness for densely packed waves of foes and deadly ambushes hits the spot for me, especially when the chaos is underscored by one of my all-time favorite Mark Clem tracks. The Basement Shootout is my pick for this excellent speed map's highlight. Grade B+, difficulty C+. Map 7, Merciless Flow. Hey, no fair, Memphis is Russian. Inconsistent nationalities aside, Merciless Flow is significantly tougher than its minuscule monster count would lead you to believe. The Revenants and Macubi wreak havoc with all that open space, and the zombies, imps, and arachnotrons make for excellent harassment. Don't touch the water, it's hot. Grade B+, difficulty C+. Map 8, Simple Souterrain. Think what you like of Oxide's maps, they're always dressed to the nines. Somewhat inspired by Doom 2's second map, French for Simple Underground is a watery tech base that flows beautifully for having been put together in less than 3 hours. Except for this spring-loaded double archvile surprise, which got me good in both my playthroughs, Simple Souterrain shouldn't make you lose your cool. Grade B+, difficulty C-. Map 9, Generator of Death. Pumping along to new contributor Sid Zetmek's original MIDI, Generator of Death is a sharply drawn brown barracks with firefights around every corner. Ammo is plentiful, the map's 3 archviles are more inconvenient than dangerous, and the final showdown with 2 spider demons is a laugh because they'll almost instinctively infight while you clear out the remaining soldiers. Pump rockets into the fire blue core to finish the map. Grade B-, difficulty C. Map 10, Culture et confiture des mobs. Uncultured swine that I am, I'm not quite won over by Hambone's peculiar pastiche of Puccini and shotgun flak. I won't deny it's a map of obvious sophistication. The single-barrel shotgun is the gentleman's preferred weapon against Hell Knights and Archviles. Kidding aside, Hambone's debut Troisième map is weird and a bit stilted, but his adorable mapper's mark forgives a lot. Grade C, difficulty C. Map 11, Cendres Humaines. Unquestionably the meanest map by JC Dorne in the Troisième trilogy relative to its placement, my gripes with French for Human Ashes begin and end with a lack of a super shotgun. The plasma rifle, buried behind a wall of imps and monitored by an archvile and cyberdemon, won't be accessible until after you've pattered 8 or 9 Mancubi to death and meekly begged for good infighting. And when you nab the blue key, you'll have to dump most of your cells on a pair of archviles and their octet of Revenant supporters that warp in with a hearty f*** you. In hindsight, I can kind of see the humor in this second cyberdemon appearing right before the exit, but I still didn't like killing him with the single barrel. Grade D, difficulty A-. Map 12, Wrong Address. This tiny city map is a diminutive dynamo. Once again, Memphis extracts every bit of use from the monsters he places. The troublesome arachnotron at the start, zombie and mancubus snipers, shock trooper revenants, and late-coming archvile will all keep you honest. The MIDI is even more enjoyable by way of ironic contrast if you played Community Chess 2. Grade B+, difficulty B-. Map 13, Trauma Tech. Another dense puzzle box map from Frank Frag, Trauma Tech hands you the plasma rifle right away to carve through a hot start and peaks with the appearance of 2 archviles, one of which spawns right on top of the first 2 barons you killed. Endure that and you'll be treated to a cushy ending. I'm not the biggest fan of Frank's utilitarian texturing, but the action here is magnifique. Grade B, difficulty C+. Map 14, Sarcasme malsain, French for unhealthy sarcasm. Great title, brutal map. The classic MIDI and textbook hell aesthetic are somehow fitting for this trip through the ringer. Press the skull switch and get the plasma gun or be caco food, narrowly escape an archvile orgy, confront the imp and shotgunner bleachers as indirectly as possible and duck these 2 up-close barons. Then shoot the flickering blue torch to reveal some secret skeletons to eke out 100% kills. I liked the green and whimsical data core much more than this cruel new model. Grade C, difficulty B+. Map 15, Les Contes de la Crypte. This Underground 2 map disagrees with me. It's visually one note, and the action is cramped and lacking spark except for the 2 archvile encounters, which it's hard to make archviles boring. I appreciate Hambone's ability to reuse areas and reshape them upon revisitation, but barring that, I can't find much to like about this map. Grade D+, difficulty C. Map 31, Dextromethorphane 84%. This gold and silver slaughterfest is quintessentially William Huber and I love it. Waves of heavy hitters padded with walking giblets, oodles of explosives to blast through them, and archvile cleanup crews swooping in after ruining your hard work. This map handed me my ass the second time around, so much so that I decided to cheese the final pair of cyberdemons. Those beveled columns seem designed to maximize splash damage. Dextromethorphane allegedly takes its name and color palette from a bottle of Vicks cough syrup owned by Huber. Inspiration comes from unexpected places. Grade A, difficulty A-. Map 32, Safe Zone. A pitch-perfect, borderline genius concept map, Safe Zone drops the player into a Tron-style computer simulation where hiding is your only defense. Don't ask me how this is done, but standing inside yellow outlined squares will block enemy lines of sight, nullifying Archie attacks and greatly limiting the effectiveness of everything else. Don't rely on the yellow line to protect you from cyber demons and save a bit more health than I did with the spider demon gauntlet. Grade A, difficulty D-. Map 16, Ville Somme. This just in, killing archviles with the super shotgun is too easy. Like map 11, French for Dark City, but also an archvile pun, goes way overboard on the frustration factor. You get only 22 rockets before you're down to the chain gun and the pump action, so do the mental math. You got 4 archviles at the start to deal with, a Baron, 3 Mancubi, 8 Revenants, and a face full of chain gunners. Oh, and then 4 more archviles on top of that, all at once. The lack of an SSG and JC's vicious placement make this like pulling teeth. Grade D-, difficulty A. Map 17, Infiltration. A hellish quarry gorged with revenants and archviles, Infiltration is another step forward for Chow, a tense, trap-heavy exercise in Plutonia-style punishment. The borrowed Lee Jackson MIDI isn't the only thing reminding me of Hell Revealed here. An essential rocket launcher is tucked away in this secret, which I consider bad form, mostly because I had to survive my first playthrough without it. Bazooka in hand, this map is a lot more fun. Grade B+, difficulty B+. Map 18, Somewhere in the Slime Ocean. There are a few more expedient ways of getting brownie points with me than imitating Speed of Doom, but Somewhere in the Slime Ocean is much more than a cheap reference. Plute manages to blend Scythe X and Speed of Doom's visual motifs and invoke both Joshi and Darkwave styles in a tight space and in under 5 minutes. Quite the feat. Grade B+, difficulty B-. Map 19, Brexen. Yet again, I find myself wondering what the world would be like if Hell Revealed 2 was actually as fun as the French think it is. This ironclad slaughterfest dusts off another of Petter Martinson's best middies, which sets the tone for some slaughterific shootouts with packs of pain elementals, hordes of hell nobles, scores of skeletons, and of course, armies of archvile reinforcements. I love Willow 84's penchant for shock value fights, and Brexen delivers these in spades. Grade A, difficulty A-. Map 20, Chernage. Let it never be said that Chow gets stuck in his ways. French for Carnage is a hell castle with a drawbridge, hedge maze, and an unusually high secret count, where you'll find a backpack and enough extra arms and munitions to make even the nastiest goon squad look foolish for trying to tangle with you. The Doom 2 story text music contributes to this map feeling like a playable transition. Grade B, difficulty C. Map 21, Diabolic Patterns. Diabolic Patterns belongs in Plutonia 2 if, in an alternate timeline, that megawad were made up of speed maps. At the start, you're given the option of plasma gun or rocket launcher, and I don't believe you can get them both in a single run, so choose wisely. You'll be dealing with clumps of foes, but also pain elementals. The unfortunate combination of the wheezy MIDI and the ammo famine make this one pretty unenjoyable for me. Grade D+, difficulty B+. Map 22, Ben Tentative. This late megawad debut from Nils the Red sports a marble tech aesthetic and small, mostly unthreatening fights. The yellow keycard area is peekaboo shootable if you're patient, and the cyber demon fight is overkill, but at least you get a plasma gun for it. The most interesting part of this map is this secret, seemingly a reference to 2014's Wolfenstein: The New Order. Grade C+, difficulty C. Map 23, Enceinte Infernale. Oxide steps on the gas in this mayhem-fueled arena. It's almost as lethal as it is handsome, featuring a cast of revenants, pain elementals, chain gunners, and of course, Archeville, who won't even give you enough time to regret staying out in the open. This is one of my favorite maps in the Toiseau series, helped along by splendid little details like how easily the checkerboard floor pulls the marble hell aesthetic together. Grade A, difficulty A-. Map 24, Supplice Claustrophobe. Datacore sure loves his hell maps. French for claustrophobic torture is nowhere near as bad as its name suggests. Relative to its slot, this is Datacore's easiest map. It prioritizes suspense and aesthetic unity over combat, which makes it lightweight and skippable. Grade B-, difficulty C+. Map 25, Crise Infernale. Frank Fragg's Adieu to Toisier Dieu gets off to a scorching start, suiting its malevolent setting. Find the plasma gun behind the Arachitron and slip into that mega armor to carve out a safe space, then duck back into the start room, use this secret elevator to get a soul sphere and the super shotgun, and then it's a matter of decommissioning the immobile barons, revenants, and archviles to clear the way to both keys and the exit. This is good, aggressive stuff. Grade B+, difficulty B+. Map 26, Pacte des Noirceurs. Borrowing from the Speed of Doom soundtrack, French for Pact of Darkness simmers with dread between bouts of explosive action. The opening fight is an unholy convention of hell nobles, chain gunners, revenants, and a massive macubi denying your escape. This murderous merry-go-round goes sort of like Monster Condo until a million revenants show up and archviles block your way out. The blue key trap flings a flock of pain elementals at you, and the final fight features a scary cyber demon whom you're once again corralled in with by revenants and archviles. Late megawad Willu maps always mean business, and he's always at his best when he's allowed to cut loose. Grade A, difficulty A. Map 27, Passage à vide. This map took me out behind the woodshed. The opening is a delicate balancing act of dodging archvile surveillance and revenant rockets while weaving between hell knights and imps, which ends when you grab hold of the rocket launcher and carve out some peace and quiet for yourself. A few minutes later, you'll be looking at the yellow key, which trips one of the worst traps in the megawad. Hope you've saved some rockets, because Oxide teleports 3 archviles into the main room and they'll resurrect a potpourri of demons from different ambushes, some of them barons. The kicker is Oxide parked 2 cyber demons in front of the exit just to punish frivolous ammo spenders, which sounds like something Necrotic Flesh would do. Grade B+, difficulty A. Map 28, Gutter Grave. For this Colossus, I will definitely need more than 3 sentences, which is fine because Darkwave needed more than 3 hours. Gutter Grave is the biggest and most daunting map in the entire Toiselle d'Agonie series, with a whopping 2,400 monsters, including 42 archviles, 57 pain elementals, and 16 cyber demons. Incidentally, the bionic cattle are your best friends in this map, because every major battle inevitably devolves into fusillades of friendly fire. Only the cyber demon can efficiently whittle down the hordes, and hopefully they'll even take out a few archviles, who make it their mission to keep the bloodshed going forever. Every fight is about finding and killing all the archviles, period. Once it's just cybers and a handful of heavies left, clean up, restock, and move on. My love of Darkwave's visual signatures is pretty well documented, but Gutter Grave's vaulting ceilings, grim monolithic structures, and the awesome chaos that it unleashes is something extra special. I bow to his ability to create such a grand, unfathomable evil while still keeping the odds in your favor. This hangs with Darkwave's best work, and it's one of my new all-time favorite maps. Grade A+. Difficulty X-. Map 29, Chair Brûlante. Opting for the calm before the storm approach to the penultimate map, French for Burning Flesh is JC Dorne's second attempt to make this MIDI work for him. I don't think there's enough ammo in this map. I had to punch a revenant to death without berserk to save 18 shells of the last Baron and Vial, and this was the first time I finished this map with 100% kills. Other than that, there's nothing too tough or noteworthy here. Grade B-, difficulty C+. Map 30, Toiselle d'Agonie 2. JC queues up essentially the same finale as last time, except with twice as many monster spawners, a slower lift to the icon's weak spot, and a nice build-up sequence where you gather guns and rock climb beforehand. Not bad. Grade C, difficulty B. And now, on to our third and final act. Map 1, Negligence. Didn't expect to see 3 map 1s today, did you? Frank Fragg's opener is pleasant and adorable if you compare it to his serious work. Save for 1 Hell Knight and a pop-up Revenant, this grassy mini-base is essentially benevolent. Grade B-, difficulty E. Map 2, Sais, in which Rufy joins the party, finally completing Team Toiselle d'Agonie. This sleek blue and silver space base is manned mostly by imps and zombie men, but don't get complacent, because the supply of health packs and shells isn't endless. The MIDI gives it a nice bit of zip. Grade B-, difficulty D-. Map 3, here goes. Serena, Reviantame. Not much to see here. Brown rectangular buildings connected by brown walkways divided by pinky-filled canals. Forecast calls for hit scanners and imps with some moderate revenants also expected. I appreciate Hambone's attempt to zest up a boring map with a fun title. In this case, Serena, come back, we love you. Grade C, difficulty D-. Map 4, Réacteur Chimique. French for chemical reactor doesn't have much going on in the action department, content to just move things along. There may have been some really cool secrets here, but I missed them. Small, solid maps like this are like cookies to me. I can't just have one. Grade C+, difficulty D-. Map 5, Violently Imply. Oh, he's back alright. And that's an archvile. Violently Imply is nowhere near as bad as you think it'll be. 95% of the enemies are imps, and Necrotic Flesh loads you up with shotgun shells and rockets. Take a step back, hold down the trigger, and turn them into imp chowder. This is my favorite of Necro's maps and one of the best map titles I've seen. Grade B, difficulty D. Map 6, Amboibouse. I can't help but feel a bit of pride, or at least vicarious excitement, for how far Datacore has come since the first Toiselle d'Agonie. Clearly all the mappers honed their crafts as the series unfolded, but Datacore is my pick for the most improved mapper. French for Muddy Shadows is passionately brown but lit beautifully, giving it a subtle, contoured look. It's not a terribly hard map, but it feels good to nail that pesky archvile. and the double Mancubus Pain Elemental fight is both interesting and aesthetically agreeable. Grade B+, difficulty D. Map 7, Sais, as in, hey JC, how many archfiles am I allowed to put in my map again? Oxide's lone submission to Trois non-secret map roster, Sais manages to combine Scythe 2's gothic look, Plutonia 2's most iconic track, and his own gut-punching brand of gameplay into one of the most memorable and sinister maps in the trilogy. The archfile Inundation can be cheaped out by hiding behind this block monster line, thank God, but the Plasma Trap and this Bermuda Monster Triangle will flay the naive. Grade A-, difficulty B. Map 8, Storm Warning. This nautical tech base starts out on choppy waters. An awful lot of shotgunners, chain gunners, and arachnotrons will have you in their sights before you can even arm yourself. This game of Revenant Peekaboo by the Yellow Key is kinda cute, but outside of the opening it's one of the only points of interest in this map. It's standard Memphis, effective, balanced, and workmanlike in the visual department. Grade B, difficulty C+. Map 9, Entrepot. French for warehouse, looks like something from JC Dorne's back catalog. It's not a bad map. The hurried start and a few of the ambushes are entertaining, but the level as a whole feels a bit perfunctory. Footnote, the blue guys aren't a new enemy type, they're just reskinned Nazis. You won't see them much. Grade B, difficulty C+. Map 10, Jesse. Each installment in the d'Agonie series has its strengths, but the third is the best looking by far. The speed of Doom music oversells this one as Willu pulls his punches a bit, but he did a marvelous job decorating. The bright reds really pop against the silver, gray, and occasional yellow or green, and the whole thing looks gorgeous against the ink-dark sky. I like to think Jesse is the name of the spider mastermind because it would be hilarious for a spider mastermind to be named Jesse. Grade B+, difficulty B-. Map 11, Google Translate was no help with this one. Katom Satan se tape. As much as I'd like to poke fun at Hambone for his loony titles, rigid symmetry, and unorthodox MIDI choices, French for maybe Satan doesn't care is actually a solid map. Rarely have I seen a map that favors the pistol work this well. You won't get a lot of shells until the end, and Hambone provides enough cover to make gunslinging viable. The archvile at the end can be a pain in the ass if you kill all the grunts near where he pops out, but I think that half-chuckle, half-groan reaction is exactly what Hambone was going for. Grade B, difficulty C+. Map 12, Spiral. Hey, it's Savannah Smooth again. Setting the stage in a burnt-out tech base nestled amidst the crags of some long-forgotten nukage dump site, Chow's Spiral is pretty undemanding, giving the player plenty of ammo, options, and space to move. I like the visual riffage and the general feel of this map, but the action is a bit muted. Grade B-, difficulty C. Map 13, Funeste Rendezvous. Another insidious little Rubik's Cube from Frank Frag. French for disastrous appointment gives you quite the dilemma right away. An archvile and a crowd of imps blocks your super shotgun, and grabbing it will drop you into a ring of shotgunners, cacos, and hell knights. Frank is the best in France at this kind of claustrophobic juggling act. Use the doors to make your own cover against the Archie, clean up below decks, and enjoy the juicy jib fest at the end. Grade A-, difficulty B. Map 14, Epsilon Indy. Didn't we do Tangerine Nightmare last episode? As it happens, Epsilon Indy was inspired by a 2011 Frank Frag deathmatch WAD that used orange textures, and after 3HA3, Datacore took the next step and started TN.WAD with the same theme. By itself, this map isn't too exciting. The game of duck duck shotgun with that first archvile is amusing, and the yellow key room is fun if you don't take it slow, but that's about it. Grade B-, difficulty C. Map 15, Ile Paradisiaque. A well-timed burst of joie de vivre, French for Paradise Island, takes you on a tropical adventure. Were it not for the music selection, I might have thought less of this map, simple looking as it is, but this ecstatic tune makes its humbler sights, like this sailboat, somehow more nostalgic. Roofy does a fine job balancing shoot-'em-up fights with tricky traps involving flame boys, and the result is a very pleasant intermission. Grade A-, difficulty C+. Map 31, Eau Trouble. This companion to Map 15 is another coastal excursion, albeit with a little less wind in its sail mid-textures. The pop-up ambush with the super shotgun and the 4 switches that summon red key guardians are a bit abrupt, though I do appreciate Roofy trying to keep things lively. There are 4 helpful secrets here, including the super secret exit, which opens back at the beginning once you unlock the regular exit. Grade B, difficulty B. Map 32, Doom Dew, or Go Dew It, if you will. Oxide's Trois send-off is a gloriously excessive rewrite of Entryway stuffed to capacity with Revenants, Archviles, Chain Gunners, and Barons, lorded over by a dozen Cyberdemons. Right away you're going to want to take the pain and Archvile jump up to the invulnerability. It's worth a BFG, and you're absolutely going to need it to silence the thronging hordes outside, and later this holocaust of Archviles that descend when you pick up the red key. Doom Dew might seem excessive on first playthrough, but I've grown to love its unrepentant wickedness and hyperbolic violence. Grade A, difficulty A+. Map 16, Infligence. I was dreading replaying this map because of its ending. An angry wall of Hell Knights and Barons presses you to death in a tiny space, they've got 2 Archvile field medics behind them, and you only get 38 rockets. Turns out it's not so bad after all. If you're not a hammerhead, you can go up the elevator without pressing the switch, which keeps all the Hell Cows penned in while you tip them with rockets one by one, and the Archviles can't escape the exit room unless you approach them. Grade B, difficulty B. Map 17, Chlorophyll. This 100% plant-based map is one of Datacore's more fetching submissions. His command of Doom's green palette is impressive, painting with slime, marble, grass, vines, torches, Hell Knight and Baron projectiles, security armor, Arachnotron plasma, even zombie hair. Watch for skulking Archviles and don't hesitate to hose down your enemies. Cells are all over the place. Grade B+, difficulty B-. Map 18, Nasima. Nasima is one of the maps that convinced me to do this episode. I love everything about it. Custom textures, the perpetual danger, the helpful secrets, and above all, the amount of concentrated whoop-ass that Willu gets out of less than 100 monsters. After you grab that red key, all bets are off. The Cybers and Archviles get to roam free, Revenants run roughshod, Mancubi make it rain hellfire, Pain Elementals pollute the air, and you're armed to the teeth. So good luck, Marine. Grade A, difficulty A-. Map 19, Deficience Egg, and this is another map that convinced me to do this episode. The Sunlust music is not there by accident. French for acute deficiency is Frank Frag turned up to 11, a firestorm of cramped action staged in a sleek, heavy metal slime base and its surrounding basin. The final wave of enemies is a cathartic rush of Barons, Hell Knights, and Revenants, which you get to decimate with thousands of cells and a BFG. This map will make your day. Grade A, difficulty A-. Map 20, Donjon Sanglant. French for Bloody Dungeon is a bit ho-hum for JC, mostly because I know he's capable of better. The first minute or so is quite exciting, with an Archvile on your tail and a bevy of Imps and Hell Knights trying to get your autograph in blood, but the rest of the map over-equips you, seems afraid to push the envelope. It was a wise decision to set the relatively easygoing and visually homogeneous Donjon Sanglant to such a supercharged MIDI, courtesy of Cyber Rainforce. Grade B, difficulty B. Map 21, Apéro d'Enfer. Wow, I'm in hell! From frame number 1, it seems like Rufy did his darndest to make the most classic hell map possible, and I'd say he succeeded. Unfortunately, he sacrificed pretty much all of his whimsical imagination, excepting this moment where imps pop out of their graves. Grade B-, difficulty C-. Footnote, check out this sky. Groovy, right? Map 22, Hôtel Écalart. While playing Hambone's Map 3, I kept expecting Archviles to appear, confusing it with this map. French for Scarlet Altar stages its most memorable fight when you take the red key from the titular altar. Those 4 chain gunners used to really screw me over until I realized you could just run away and take care of the Archviles trying to stir up shit outside. The ending is bonkers too, and nicely color coordinated. Grade B, difficulty C+. Map 23, Hemoglobin. Brown, orange, green, and now red. Hemoglobin completes Datacore's color cycle and serves as his final bow in the Toiselle series, to which he contributed more maps than anyone but project leader JC Dorne. I doubt this map was placed so late for any reason not having to do with its dominant pigment. Hemoglobin has no fights worth mentioning and isn't quite as much of a looker as Chlorophyll. Grade C+, difficulty C-. Map 24, Les Terres de l'Enfer. This red-complected infernal keep is a bit tougher than I remember, more because of restricted supplies and overwhelming odds. I dislike this Spectre Trap because it's hard to make safe use of the chainsaw, but the triple Archvile attack in the library is a friendly challenge. French for the Lands of Hell isn't one of JC's best maps, but as I've said, I hold them to a higher standard. Grade B, difficulty B. Map 25, Hell Doors. This morose map opens with the scene of a cacodemon eating somebody, and doesn't get cheerier from there. I consider Hell Doors a suspense builder, because while a few of its traps can pose a threat to the newcomer, Chow makes sure to ladle on the health and ammo between skirmishes. Even the 2 traps near the end with the chain gunners and the Archviles' merry band can be outfoxed by running away and shooting rockets. Grade C+, difficulty C. Map 26, Empire of Dirt. It won't let you down, but it will make you hurt. Memphis's last and best map in the Toiselle trilogy starts off like a junior version of Alien Vendetta's Dark Dome, and later drops you into a nasty cavern akin to Doom 2's Spirit World. The relaxed music, high-octane combat, and emphasis on good footwork make Empire of Dirt consistently enjoyable and replayable. Grade A-, difficulty A-. Map 27, La Gaine Rouge. The best part of this map is its hostile yet artfully balanced start, where you have imps, Mancubi, Hell Knights, Barons, and Revenants sneaking shots at you from the parapets, Archviles lighting you up, an arachnotron standing on life-saving armor, and pinkies blocking your way to better weaponry. Once you get a foothold in some bigger guns, it's a real pleasure to systematically sweep up, and the final shootout with Saibi and friends is a delightful mess of infighting and BFG beams. Well done, Frank. Grade A-, difficulty B+. Map 28, Vero. The handsome, colorful Vero is Willu's most experimental outing in the series. He omits shotguns and the rocket launcher, often making you survive on your wits alone. Infighting is your best friend, especially in the room with the lava falls and demon blocks. I try to get the Cyber to take care of the archvile guarding the yellow door. It's dangerous, but worth the ammo you'll save. The Cyber Demon sandwich at the end is probably the squirreliest fight in the map, but I personally dread this double archvile squeeze because their wall of bodyguards is so awkward to negotiate. Grade B+, difficulty A. Map 29, Serment des Noirceurs. Okay, I'm gonna try to keep to the 3-sentence max this time. Here goes. Although not as chaotic as his first 2 Juggernaut submissions, Darkwave's Oath of Darkness is punishing and at times keyboard-smashingly difficult, more because of the Cyber Demons than the Vials this time. I'm more fond of Guttergrave's aesthetic, but that's probably because Darkwave actually stuck to the time limit this go-around. Highlights include the Red Key Room with its madcap swell of Flesh Eaters and optional, not optional BFG, and the ending, which makes you pick your moment to strike at the soft, archvile center of the demon formation while the Cyber Demons go to town. Grade A-, difficulty X-. Map 30, Troisième d'Agonie 3. Unexpectedly one of the greatest final maps I have ever played, this megawads namesake closer holds a higher enemy count and delivers more clout than Darkwave's contribution for once. After l'icône du péché 3 says something in French and starts spewing monsters, pick up the BFG and kill the Cyber Demons atop these 3 towers because they're guarding 3 switches you'll trigger to kill the icon. Then, buckle up for a trifecta of electrifying challenge rooms, a lake of vile pain, a cave of swarming horrors, and a concrete coliseum so intense I can only compare it to the finale of Scythe 2. This is the real f***ing deal. Grade A, difficulty X-. So, that was a lot of maps. Looking at the entire picture, I think it's pretty clear that the first Troisième d'Agonie was a learning experience for all involved. It has its moments, but the rough edges can't be ignored. The second installment is a huge leap forward, featuring maps more photogenic, self-assured, and entertaining than Troisième, but it does come at the expense of this being the longest and probably least bingeable of the 3. 3HA3 is my pick for the prettiest and most traditionally strong of the 3. It has a more unified vision than the first 2, and the series' longtime contributors are mostly at the top of their respective games. All of these megawads are greater than the sum of their parts. Their excellent variety and low average runtimes make them compulsively playable, worthy weekend adventures for Doom players of a wide range of skill levels. My final grades for these 3 wads are, in order, C+, B+, and A-. Difficulty-wise, the grades are as follows: C+, B-, and B. Now for my Dean's lists. Troisième d'Agonie 1. Valedictorian, Map 27, Song and Assault. Salutatorian, Map 20, Archaeology. Class President, Map 29, Dernier Vu, and the dunce cap goes to Map 7, Chambre des Supplices. Troisième d'Agonie 2, Valedictorian, Map 28, Guttergrave. Salutatorian is a tie between Map 19, Brexen, and Map 32, Safe Zone. Class President, Map 28, Guttergrave, and the dunce cap goes to Map 16, Ville Sombre. Troisième d'Agonie 3, Valedictorian. Map 30, Troisième d'Agonie 3. Salutatorian is another tie between Map 18 and 19, Nassima and Deficience Egg. Class President, Map 29, Serment des Noirceurs, and the dunce cap goes to Map 3, Serena Reviente. Finally, I'd like to present an honor roll for the whole series because there are a lot of maps here that deserve recognition, but I'm not going to read them all out because this video is already long enough. Thank you very much for watching, and please feel free to share your thoughts in the wads down below. I'd love to hear what you think, and I'll heart your comments to let you know I've read them. Now, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge my generous patrons. AR, Aaron Allen, Agu XYZ, Akalai, Alec Wehrman, Alexander Sumenkoff, Alex Topfer, Alex Max, Aria Dare, Bo Higginbotham, Builder Sith, Bitefire, Kappa Bitch, Captain Wave, Cheese Wheel, Chris Duthat, Chris O'Neill, Christopher Hart, Christophine Place, Crafty One Cal, Dan, Dave Davidson, Delirium, Dorothy Miller, Dumbo, Eggboy, Ember, Emma Essex, Felix Wilson, Fiendish, Furnace, Gabagool, General Roasterock, Glenn Marmon, Griffin Upchurch, Gus Shade, Have a Seat, Holy Hell Revealed When, In Captivity, Jeff Hibbert, Jeff Sharilla, Jose Ballestero, Josh Ballard, Just Great 98, Camille Bernadotte, Killplane, King of Insanity, Leon Staten, Logan Lazalda, Mark Rowland, Master Drew 117, Matt, Matthew Gower, Michael Akins, Mixer, MK 2021, Moko Mothman MM47, Mr. Meme 1990, Myolden, Neurometry, Nick Machado, Knights 108, Number 26, Omnibot, Orion Burke Poole, Painful Hill 72, Philip Coffey, Procrastination, Pyro She, Randy A, Reese, Roadworks, Roofy, Rune, Sega Monkey, Sid Menon, Stonemason, Stupid Nick, The Bell Tolls, The Dinosaur Heretic, TJG1289, Trilby Trillion, Turbine 2K5, Ultra Cow, Vertigo, Why Bimo Not a Crab, and William Huber. Thank you. I appreciate you all very much. Especially my French patrons. They totally didn't bribe me to do this episode. Wink wink. This is Mount Pain 27, and I'll see you in the next episode of Dean of Doom.